which is Satoshi Kojima and Hiroyoshi Tenzan in Hiroyoshi Tenzan's retirement match. I've been watching Hiroyoshi Tenzan wrestle now for 34 years, and he was never my favorite. And the reason why he wasn't my favorite was because I grew up on Muto and Chono and Hashimoto, the Three Musketeers, and Liger, and he represented the next generation, and I wasn't ready for that when I was younger, and I didn't like him to an extent. Because it was like he's not really of the New Japan style. He was kind of more like an All Japan wrestler, really. But he's grown on me over the last 34 years. And I was thinking about this today. Why did I react the way I did to this match? And it's partly because my dad liked Tenzan, and my dad would have loved to be around for this. He would love to see this match. And it's partly because Tenzan is the last of the Monday Night wrestlers. You look at all those rosters on Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw, the only one left, the only three guys left who are still active are Yuji Nagata, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and Chris Jericho. And, Jericho. And Nagata's not going anywhere for a while. But this is the first one that Tenzan really struck me. That era is over, finally gone. This is the end of the Attitude Era, literally happening before my very eyes. And then that old mad bastard gets up on ringside, and he's got an atrophied arm and an atrophied leg, and me and you talked about how we're concerned for his physical health. And he stands up there and he goes, Kojima, through the time limit, going for it. And that just broke me. It really did. And I started bubbling up at that particular point. And then you start watching the match, and there is this old man giving it his absolute all for the last 10 minutes of his career. And everything flashes back that you've watched of him before, winning the G1. The one that sticks in the mind of me is the match with Flair in 95, which really made him, like, he made Ric Flair have a non-Ric Flair match. He just bossed around. Here's the greatest wrestler in the world, and he just burned him around the ring. And he's a defiant wall of granite as a pro wrestler. He's got no give, and he doesn't know any other way. And you see him taking clotheslines and Kojima urging him on, and him getting up one more time to just try one more time. And it just burst me. And I was a wreck for the rest of the day after watching this. I really was. And I'm not ashamed to admit that, because it was just, this is why we love pro wrestling so much. It means so much to me. As a wrestling fan who I've seen it and I've done it all. I've watched everything, and sometimes you don't know what's going to affect you. But this mad old bastard having his last match was just glorious, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Christy, what do you think of this?
Yeah, how am I supposed to follow that?
I'm sorry.
I don't have the history with Tenzan that you do in the same way. When I started watching New Japan, he was in the Goto role now. He could still go. He and Kojima could really go still, but you could tell that they were on the way out and not on the top of the mountain, if that makes sense. And then he got worse physically every year, and it became a struggle to watch him. At first, it was just the ankle that just tilted further and further and further and made it impossible for him to walk properly. And then it was the atrophy, like you said.
Yeah.
It was him losing so much weight that he looked like a skeleton of himself. Like, it was impossible to recognize the old Tenzan in him. He looks better now.
Yeah.
Than he did when he returned, when he got really sick and then returned. So there's a part of me that will never have seen the Tenzan that you remember. and the Tenzan that everyone's celebrating here in this match. But it was still emotional in a way because I'd grown so fond of him and Kojima and their wrestle husband friendship and how they were there for each other, and just it's a pleasure to see generations grow old in New Japan.
Yes.
And it's painful and it's sad, and the knowledge that my favorites will be joining him soon. Not soon, in a year or 10 maybe for Goto. I don't know how long he plans to wrestle. It's just sad, and it's sad for all the people there, but it's also beautiful in a way. And this match showed that because Kojima shows up, and the crowd knows how much that means for him, for Tenzan, so they start chanting his name, and you can tell by the look on Kojima's face that he doesn't want to be there, and yet he wants to be there so desperately. Like, he knows that it's important that he's there, but he doesn't want it to be, the final match. And this match was a bit of a struggle because for the last couple of years, I've struggled to watch Tenzan wrestle.
Yeah.
But out of respect for him, I forced myself to watch every single second. And Kojima didn't let up. Like, he was laying into him with some of those shots, and Tenzan's chest was getting red, and it's just such a wrestler thing to do, is to go, this man can barely stand on his 2 feet, but I'm going to clothesline him into oblivion. And that's the beauty in it. Like, that's what Tenzan wants.
Yeah.
That's what the crowd needs, is that one final time for him to be treated like the Tenzan that they remember.
Yeah.
And every time he did something.
Yeah.
Like, he was... Sorry?
I was going to say, like, every time he did something, every pop that you heard was ridiculous.
Yeah, but also terrifying in a way, because he was setting up for the suplex.
Yeah.
And I was holding my breath, and I was like, should you do? But of course he should. And Kojima launched himself. Like, there was no weight of him that was anywhere on Tenzan.
No.
But that's the beauty and the pain of watching wrestling, because the match ends. Or is nearing the end, and Tenzan climbs onto the turnbuckle, and the entire crowd and me were yelling, no! Don't go up there! And then Kojima eventually pins him, and he immediately collapses into a corner, clearly emotional. And then Young Lion show up to give Tenzan ice, and Kojima and Tenzan hug, and that's the moment I choke up. Because that kind of open affection between men is rare.
Yeah.
Especially in a world as toxic masculine as wrestling can be. And like I said, their relationship is what stuck with me the most for all those years, and so it was beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And then all the bullshit after, and by bullshit, that's not a negative, but it's a lot, and it's all I'm sure you're going to talk about after the match, but yeah.
It is, because it is like, I described it on Blue Sky. It was just, as a bunch of old men with barely a knee between them, and it's true. They're all there, every one of them, and God bless them. And they do all the things they're supposed to do. Like, Fosu hates having his picture taken, so he sits down as soon as he gets there. Puts some dark glasses on. And they have to make him stand up. Oh, go on then. Have pictures with Chosu. Muto steals the show because he's Muto. Chono, under his own steam, was really nice to see, not walking with a cane. That was excellent. Fujinami's there. Keiji Kanemoto gives a video message. He was the junior heavyweight ace, while Tenzan was the heavyweight ace. His friends from wrestling school, his friends from the business world. You forget how long Tenzan was going for, how big he was in the company, and what he means to the company. he never left. He was a company man from cradle to grave. And well, I'm speaking like he's dead, but he is. He's a company man. He is that guy. Like, we love Kojima, but he left them in the lurch to go to All Japan for a bigger paycheck and came back when All Japan hit the skids. And that's smart business, and I'm not knocking Kojima for doing it. That's professional wrestling. You're supposed to earn a living. But Tenzan was the backbone of that promotion and got blamed when everything went wrong. And it wasn't his fault because he didn't have the cast to work with that the next generation had. He did his job better than anyone else for as long as he possibly could, and he got everybody over. And that was his job, and it was a beautiful thing to see him honored in the way he should be honored by the people who put him there and the people who supported him. And yeah, it was bullshit because it is. That's what a wrestling retirement's about, right? But hellfire, even Ishii turned up, and he doesn't turn up for anyone, does he? So it was, I think it was probably the most genuine retirement I have seen. Tanahashi's retirement was fantastic, don't get me wrong. But like the people who genuinely love a worker for the work he's done, and especially the work he's done in the last few years. And you know why they don't retire? They don't retire because they don't get a pension. Their lives aren't great when they finish professional wrestling, and it's easier to stay and do the odd match and keep going than it is to fully retire from being a professional wrestler in Japan. But I hope people look after Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and I hope he's looked after his money because he deserves better for the work that he's put in. But anyway, have you any other comments on the rest of the show?
Yeah, them bringing people out always gets to me. Tanahashi retiring really got to me because I knew most of the people that came out. And this is, for Tenzan, it was a bit before my time, and all of the people who came out were even more before my time.
These are the guys I watched. Yes.
Yeah, but it's still emotional in a way because you can see it. Every person hit Tenzan in the heart. Like, oh my god, that guy is here. And oh my god, that guy is here. And Izuka showing up was fun.
Yes.
And I understand that there is a direct connection between him and Tenzan, don't get me wrong. But in my head, I was like, I feel like they bring him in at random retirement ceremonies just to make sure Nogami doesn't get too comfortable. And it made me laugh. And then the moment where they shake hands and the monster, disappears for just a second because this is that important. Yes. And then you get the 10 count, which is always because that's the thing they do when someone dies. And it's always also what they do when someone retires, because the wrestler dies in that moment. Like, the person lives on, but the wrestler character dies there in that ring. And it's beautiful and it's sad, and then Tenzan has to stand there for 10 seconds and he almost falls over because he can't. And half of Honsai rushes into the ring to catch him. And that's also beautiful. Like, he stumbled and Desperado rushed in and Yasuda rushed in and so many guys rushed in to catch him, because that's also the wrestling business, and that's also New Japan. They are there to catch each other when necessary.
Yeah.
And then it ended with him getting flowers and getting hugs and exchanging words, and poor Yasuda cried his eyes out. And it's somehow always the young lions who cry the hardest. It's when the senior who mentored them and whose bags they carried leaves, it's like they feel like it's losing a parent.
Yeah.
And for many of them, it would be like the first person close to them who retires. And of course, Yasuda's seen Tanahashi retire, but I'm assuming by their interactions that Yasuda was Tenzan's young boy for at least part of his career. And that's another part of wrestling that's kind of beautiful. Those kinds of relationships between wrestlers and how that, impacts them the rest of their careers. And, it's beautiful and it's sad. And
Yes.
I hope he has as comfortable as he can be the rest of his life.
A long, comfortable retirement, I think, is what we can have here.
Yeah.
One last tribute to Tenzan. Boys and girls at cage match. Well done. 8.13. The best match of the night. And I think that's fair, because it was. It was exemplary. For the people doing it and what they did, it was just cracking. God bless you for doing that, because it was just amazing.